And we are live. Episode 4, Barely Living. Can't believe I've lived to this point.
You know what they say about episode 4?
I don't.
I don't either. But
Yeah.
here we are,
Here we
robot
are.
mentality,
Robot
episode
Mentality,
4.
Episode 4. And
Closing my
the
window so
world,
nobody else
the
can hear
world
this.
is falling apart around us. It didn't hit me until probably this week.
Same.
This is something in your history book in schools that your kids will read about, and have projects on or
This
have
is
to remember.
so. This is so big. Yeah, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday that I was like, okay, this isn't a joke. Like this is. I think once we hit like 25% down on the Dow, like for me, since I just always think about finance, it's just like always related in those terms.
Yeah.
But like even just like all the high schools are shut down. They're going to be for the rest of the year. Um, Hourly
Colleges.
workers are screwed. Colleges are
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. Well, the thing is too, and we don't have to get into this because we talked about it last week. I like, yes, we should take the disease seriously, not because the disease itself or the virus itself is necessarily the end of the world. It's just the spreading of it. That's the problem, is how it spreads, because you don't know the symptoms. You could be spreading it. That's the problem, and it's a pathogen, right? So it's in the air. So
Hmm.
that's the problem with it. It's not necessarily the disease itself. Um, So is maybe the disease or the virus itself overblown? Like if you have it, I would say yes, but we should take the spreading of it seriously. If
Yeah,
that makes
that's
sense.
the weird thing because it's. I mean,
Because I
I,
think the media portrayal is overblown, and that's really hit the stock market. But go ahead.
yeah. Well, so I was on Twitter and I read like this girl was like, I'm 22 years old and I had the coronavirus. Here's my story, type of thing. Like it was like it sounded like a bad cold and she was like pretty like out of energy and bad fever and she didn't like throw up or anything, but it lasted like 9 days. And like you can't get tested. Like people aren't trying to test people unless they're over. Like the hospitals
They
don't want
want
to
you to
test you
have a
unless you're over
fever.
60.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they like refused her twice, and then she's finally like, "Yo, I have coronavirus. Like you need to," and then
Yeah.
it came back
Well,
positive.
well, the thing is, it's a delicacy, right? Because everybody is so scared at this point. Of course, everybody wants to get tested, and that's the problem. Is they're trying to prioritize people with symptoms. Yes, you can still have it, and you don't. But I think the media portrayal of it's making all these people want to run and go get tested immediately, and then you have such an influx you can't do it properly. So it is a tough kind of situation.
On that, I know this is probably selfish and unethical, but if I feel like I have it, I am not going in to get tested. I'm just gonna
Stay home.
quarantine and stay home and stay out
Well,
of people's bed. 'Cause
yeah.
I'm not
I
trying to
mean,
have that label on me that
the thing
I was
is,
the guy who brought it to my workplace and
yeah,
all that.
yeah. Well, I mean, you didn't know, but at the same time, I mean, as far as I know, if you don't even have symptoms, they don't. What did they do for you? They tell you to go home, right? That's really it. They just tell you to
Yeah, just
quarantine.
yeah,
To
just
make sure you
quarantine. That's
hydrate and quarantine, probably. That's about it.
so literally all they do for anybody.
So I
All of this
yeah,
we're just like protecting the boomers right now by canceling things because we aren't going to die from it.
yeah.
But I mean,
It's a social security inside job.
we're so far beyond the like, oh, this is just fear in the marketplace. Like, no, we are. This is huge economic impact. Things are closed down. We're losing
Yeah.
production. This is going to probably be. What's the actual definition of a recession? Is it?
Multiple banks had economists listed this as an official reception today. So I don't know the definition offhand. I can
It's a
Google it real fast.
period. It's a period of temporary economic decline during which trade and industrial activity are reduced, generally identified by a fall in GDP in two successive quarters.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll definitely hit that easily. We'll hit more
Because
than 2 quarters.
a bear market is when you hit, you go down. The stock market goes down 20%, but this has to do with GDP
Yeah,
um, decline for 2 quarters. So
yeah,
we're gonna have this first quarter is coming to an end in less than 2 weeks. That I think we'll already take a hit on that, and then the summer's definitely going to be a decline in GDP.
yeah. Well, the summer is your prime because you gotta think. I mean, winter's your shopping season, right? That's when you're making money on kind of that side of just those
Yeah.
industries. Summer's your travel industry, so they're gonna miss their prime I mean,
Travel,
you could
events.
say kind of the winter is too around the holidays, but it's not as widespread. People are vacationing in the summer, so um, yeah. I mean, the travel industry is really gonna hurt overall from this. So it's crazy, man. I mean, good for Warren Buffett. He's gonna have the cash on hand to buy every airline he wants. So you know, he hasn't bought
Yeah,
anything yet. He claims.
I don't think people have any clue when the bottom is. I've heard people say so many times that I think this is the bottom, and we're already down to
Yeah,
20,000 on the
yeah,
Dow. Is that
yeah.
29?
I mean I have no way of timing it, but I don't think we've hit the bottom. So
Well, you just think about like the news cycle. Like
until
we
you see any
haven't,
positive news, maybe I don't know.
yeah, like the masses trade on news. Like you
Yeah,
kind of have to go
which is
with
sad.
rumors to get your intuition, and like we're gonna be having a lot more bad news before we have any good news. I
Yeah.
think. I mean, they could start saying that all these that 98% of Americans are recovering from this and that the cases are going down, but it might be a couple weeks before cases go down.
Well, the thing is too that kind of complicates the situations without any sort of real cure. And apparently South Korea and a couple other countries are seeing it now that have gotten this on the down low, that have been over the initial curve, is you kind of get these like I mean, you could say this is the earthquake and then you get these aftershocks where you'll get another wave of it. And
Yeah.
it's not to the same extent as the first one, but it's still, something you have to deal with. And it kind of, fizzles out from there. So you get over that curve, you go back to whatever your baseline is. You have another smaller curve baseline, slightly smaller curve baseline, and that's what people are predicting at this point until there's a real cure.
And there's not going to be a real cure. Did you see the headline today that Trump is like telling them to test malaria vaccines for this?
Yeah, other countries already been using it. Yeah, it's something that's apparently actually has been working in clinicals thus far. So I can test whatever, man, whatever works. Scramble to test everything for all I care.
I don't know, dude.
Well, I mean, it's worth a
Whatever.
shot if it's
Yeah,
proven in
yeah, it
other
is. That's just
countries
like,
to.
okay. Yeah, I mean, that's just interesting.
Because I was watching that Trump press conference this morning, and he was talking about, or the head doctor he had with him, like the head guy of the FDA or something, chair of the FDA, president of the FDA. They were trying this. They're trying multiple therapies too. So basically, safer alternatives because the FDA is slashing regulations on drugs right now because there's usually very strict time laws on how many how long a drug is tested, how many trials you have, all the necessary research you need, blah 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 blah. They're trying to pump things out as fast as possible, so they're shortening the 5, 10 year or more period of necessary testing down to a few weeks, trying
Yeah,
to
I
get
feel like
things out. Which I'm for that because it needs to be up to the person. If you want to take something that's experimental in hopes of getting better, then I think you have every right to, as long as they tell you your risk, like, hey, this could kill you, but it could also make you better. So, but second, so they're slashing the regulations around like vaccines or traditional medicine, try to pump those out. But they're also working on multiple therapies, and like I guess you could say kind of more natural things. Well, I guess it's not natural, but the example he gave, and apparently it's been working in some other countries, so they're trying to scale this and test it on a larger base. But if you've been through Corona and you've already come out of it, so you're already healed, I guess.
hmm
So what they're doing is they're drawing blood from those people and they inject it into somebody that has Corona currently because in your bloodstream you have like the antibodies to apparently fight it. So they're trying that, and it's seen some success thus far, and they think that's promising. But they're still doing trials, and that's something they're going to try to scale if it works at all. If you even have a 50% success rate, it's worth putting out there, especially for something like that. It's not going to kill you putting somebody else's blood in you, as long as it's your
Yeah,
blood type, right? But
I think so.
yeah,
Yeah, I
so
think all rules go out the window
they
with what's
have
going
to.
on right
Yeah,
now.
they have to.
It'll be expedited testing, which I feel like a vaccine isn't what's going to save any of this anyway. I think it's just going to
I
run
don't
its
think so
course and
either.
go. But in another way, how all rules have gone out the window. How about a Republican president sending out what's alleged to be $1,000
Yeah,
checks to all
yeah.
American adults? I
I'm
think in
I'm
early
I'm
April.
kind of it's it's bittersweet. I wouldn't say I'm for it, but I'm not entirely against it. Because here's the problem: is well, one, what people don't realize, like everybody's like, oh, it's free money. Taxes will get spiked, and even Trump will be fine with corporate tax and base tax because they're gonna have to cover their asses somehow. Okay, they can't. They've literally been printing money through this. They're gonna have to. Like taxes will go up. This isn't a free thing. You're gonna end up paying for it in the long run. So you should be smart with your 1 grand first off, if you get it. Second, I mean, I'd typically be really against this type of stuff, but this is really the at least that I know of. I couldn't speak for the whole world's history, but one, this is affecting the whole world, which I don't know of anything we've ever seen that's been a true global pandemic to this scale.
Not since 1918.
And second, I mean, this really is a unique economic situation that we've never seen because usually recession is caused by something. But in this case, the recession is caused by lack of anything happening. Like, there's literally no economy. Our economy is not doing anything. So, if you have to give money to people so they can sustain their bills, I don't know. It goes down to one, we just lived in a great market and you should be able to sustain your bills because you should be more producer focused than consumer focused, like we discussed on the podcast. But without getting into that, um, the majority of people don't do that. The majority of people don't have any sort of emergency fund, no money on hand. I mean, if they're out of work for a paycheck, they'll lose their house. Like that's a lot of people. In some situations, maybe it's not their fault, but a lot of them it is their fault. So, um, so I don't know. It's an odd situation. I'm not necessarily against it, and I I'm kind of I mean I kind of am, but I'm more for bailing out people than bailing out corporations, if that makes sense. Because I'm not for any sort of corporate bailouts. I mean, maybe you could argue anything defense related, but outside of that, I'm for nothing. If you're a company that, especially juggernaut companies, that have been profitable for so long, they're paying their executive team combined $500 million a year. You have no excuse to not have cash on hand for this. Zero excuse.
Yeah, I agree with that with corporations, obviously, but there's some that are necessary to our nation. Like airlines are I don't know if
Well,
airlines are going to completely get bailed out, but you look
apparently
at
they are going to get fully bailed out, and that's what Trump claims.
well, did you see the headline? This will be funny for you that AMC CEO just said that movie theaters need government aid right now.
That's bull. Get them. Movie theaters can
You're,
go out of business then. That's
that's what I'm
stupid.
saying. Like your entertainment, like piss off.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
seriously. They
I
should
was
not
wondering
be
what you
bailing
think
out
about that.
anybody. And to movie theaters' credit, what a lot of people don't realize is, yeah, they make like AMC's a big company and they make good money. I don't even think their market cap's at $1 billion though. I think it's like 500 million. But um, a lot of the money made in a movie theater, they really make money on concessions. It's kind of like a gas station, where a gas station really makes their money on the concessions, the convenience stuff. They don't really make money on the gas. Same with movie theaters. They don't make a ton on movies. Like, usually the splits for like low end movies, I believe, are like 60-40, where it's 60 to the producer, 40 to the movie theater. And then if it's a premium movie, like something made by Disney or a good company, or maybe Time Warner, or a big film studio. I remember the last the first Star Wars in the new trilogy, so Episode 7. Disney wanted like 85% of the cut on every ticket. And they have to do it if they want to have Star Wars. If your movie theater doesn't have Star Wars, nobody's ever going to your movie theater. So they're in a tough situation. So I don't blame them as much. They still should have money on hand, but yeah, they don't deserve a bailout. We don't need entertainment.
Such a garbage.
And
Yeah, like
I
I
would
guess
argue though, because people are like, well, if the airlines go out of business, we'll not have any travel. There are companies on hand with cash that will buy the distressed assets. It's not like the planes are going to get burned and destroyed. The airports will still be there. The planes will still be there. There will be new airlines popping up. People with money. Heck, you
yeah.
might be flying Apple Airlines. The airlines went out of business. You got 150 billion in the bank. You
Yeah,
could
that's
you
a
could
crazy
literally
thought.
you could literally. I mean, what's the market cap of like American Airlines? Nowhere near that.
Let me take a look here. AAL.
Or well, currently it's way deflated, but
True. The market cap is 4.4 billion.
exactly. So the smaller airlines would all get bought out. I don't know what Delta and Southwest, for example, their market caps are at now, but and we haven't even seen the bottom on airlines. So their market caps could be so small that somebody could easily pick up a 55% share of the company. No, another megacorp. You could be flying with
Yeah.
Amazon after this is over.
Hostile takeover. They won't let Amazon get in there. Already freaked out about them monopolizing.
Yeah.
But they could do something like a
Bezos money could still
commercial
just
and
fund it differently. New corp.
there's airlines that are flying empty flights right now because they also do freight.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
forget which airlines those are, but I think no, I don't think Allegiant does that. But I don't know. People are going to be losing money really quick. A thousand. Okay, my take on $1,000 to every person.
If everybody's 1,000 richer, nobody is.
Yeah, but I don't totally buy that because we're going to be richer than other nations. Like it helps the U.S. economy, even if you know what I mean.
Well, the weird thing is about this though is the intent of giving people money is the government knows how the average population is so consumer heavy, like buy, whatever I can get. And the weird thing is that's what they want to happen to try to keep companies afloat is that everybody goes and spends that 1,000 immediately. That's literally
Right.
the thesis behind this. I'm not spending mine, but
They either want them to spend it or to,
like pay
like
your
if it can
rent with it or
cover, yeah,
something.
if it can cover a month of rent that you're screwed. But like, I know a lot of people my age are gonna
Blow
probably
it.
buy like a PlayStation or.
Yeah. Well, I talked with my brother if we both get one, I do want to buy I do want to buy a Switch. We'll split the 300. I'll take
Well, dude,
150 of it, invest 850.
$1,000 is a lot of
That's a
like
lot of money for
unbudgeted money to
somebody.
get.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I have a complete budget that I am at a surplus every month. I have plenty of money as an emergency fund. I still have a job. Like $1,000, I'm not gonna blow it, but it's like it's gonna be really nice to have. So for that reason, I don't. I'm not gonna like complain about
Nick's
it. But
like
like
those new off-white J's looking mighty thick. Let's
I
go.
hate shoes.
No, I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. We'll see how it plays out. We'll see how it plays out. And then in the future, if we get in a situation like this, I guess you'll at least know, hey, that worked or hey, it didn't. So it like that's the thing that troubles me though, is if everything really shuts down, and the intent of this money is for you to spend for the consumer to spend it to partially save corporations. If everything's still shut down, you're not making money though. It goes down to how much debt you're in, and the average American is in a ton of debt. So it doesn't really add up to me as a solution. But
This solution is only gonna work if this is like a two
a
month
2 month
issue.
thing.
Which is very possible that this will be a 2 month thing that so 2 months,
Yeah.
so April, so say people got enough to get them through March, if they lost their
Yeah.
job or something. So April, there's gonna be two rounds of checks. There's one in April and one in May, and then by then you're into June, and by then coronavirus cases I'm sure will be decreasing.
I
That'll
would
be good
hope.
news for the economy. And then theoretically it could just be a quick bounce back, but I think people have been calling for a recession for some time that I think is going to be more extended than we think.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's weird. It's historical. That's for sure.
So it'll be one of I think I said this like a week ago and you laughed at me. I said this will be one of the biggest historic events of our lifetime.
You said that I think on like the second podcast, yeah, and I was like, I don't know. It's just
What
I
do you
was
think
just more
now?
naive to think when things really do like when you're doing nothing, when you're just at home, you're just chilling. I mean, that's when it really hits.
Yeah, when it hit me last Friday when everything got canceled, I was like bummed out for a day. Like, what am I gonna do?
I'm
Like,
I'm secretly depressed right now. I haven't shown it yet though, but it's gonna hit soon. Like I
well,
literally am, because you know me, how much I'm at yoga and in the gym. Like that's what I do every day, and that's my happy place. And they're both gone, so it's very sad.
yeah, we're
Especially yoga.
both of us are creatures of habit, and I've been okay because
Yeah.
I've had work to go to, but I worked remote today for the first time, and
Oh, you
honestly,
did? Were you at
I
home?
did.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
Did you have to Zoom your boss?
I actually didn't Zoom. I used Microsoft Teams a little bit, but we practiced Zoom earlier this week
Oh,
to make sure
nice.
everyone knew how to do it. And working from home, like I think if you do everything on your computer is totally fine. But for me, I mean, we still use a lot of paper in my job, so to
Yeah.
not have access to stuff and like a scanner or a printer, be able to take things over to other offices, like it's very not good for productivity. And I just don't like it as much. Like I like being like, okay, I'm at work, I'm gonna do my job, I'm gonna power through it, right, and then I get to come home and relax. But like it's kind of mixed when you're just at home all day and
Yeah.
sitting. Like at least at
Yeah.
work, I sit in front of my computer there for 7 8 hours, and then I can come do work on my computer at home for maybe 4 hours after. But now I've just been on my computer for 12 hours a day. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's kind of I
It's
could see how it get would get old
well, one
really
thing
fast.
I saw, I don't know if I've ever told you about him before. It's the dude who created the Dilbert comics. Do you know what those are?
Yeah, I've actually seen him
His name's
talk.
Scott Adams. I have mixed, where I agree and disagree with him on a lot of things, but he's a really intelligent dude. Um, I think it was him that tweeted it or retweeted something that the majority of Americans, really the only social contact a lot of people get is at their work, and after that they don't do much. They're at home, maybe more sedentary lifestyle or more introverted lifestyle or something. They really don't do
Hmm.
many things outside of work. But this has greater psych implications because if you're working at home for a few months and you're really not outside with people, what's that going to do to you? And secondly, if businesses start to realize, like, hey, we killed it during this shutdown, like, we were really efficient with this online stuff, so maybe we don't need to. Maybe we could have a smaller actual office space, save some money, have more people work from home, blah, blah, blah. So there could be, like, this is the real testing period for a lot of online tools
Kind of change the
for
culture, you're
businesses,
saying?
yeah, for businesses to potentially change their culture and structure. And what does that do to people long term? Like that has an effect on people. So
Yeah, that's a good point.
yeah, I just thought that was interesting to see. I mean, I think I'm the type of person where, because we've talked, like I don't want to be a 9 to 5 guy necessarily at all, but I don't think I could sit it. If I was running my own thing, yes, but if I was working somewhere, I don't think I could sit at my house every day. I mean, maybe a few days a week, but I'd want to be there sometimes at least. So
Yeah, same. And I'm very I wouldn't say I'm very introverted, but I am an introvert.
yeah,
And so I'm kind of like chilling with not seeing people or talking to people for a while. Eventually I need that interaction, but like
yeah,
for extroverts, like I was talking to a lady at work yesterday and she was like saying she's like freaking out. She's like an extrovert. Like she was like walking, she was on the other side of campus just to, like talk to people. She was like going crazy. Like she was just like walking around to get her energy out and like
goodness,
talk to people. Like that's like
there
there's
are
going to be
people
a
like
lot of
that,
people like
man.
that, and I know people that are working from home right now that absolutely hate it, and there's nothing you
Those are
can
the people
really
that snap, and next thing you know, they go stick up a bank just coughing because they say they have corona, and everybody runs. Like it's gonna be crazy.
need the interaction.
Yeah. Before we move on, though, I do kind of want to get back to maybe bailouts a little bit because I don't know if we covered that as much as I'd like. I mean, we covered the airlines a little bit, and my point where if you're a mega company, you shouldn't need bailed out. You should have cash on hand. There's no excuse when you're uber profitable. I think what's scary is in a lot of industries today, especially in tech, I mean, more so in tech than anything else, but it's the idea of constant reinvestment and debt taking. I don't think that's a good, like, I think eventually, I don't know, if we look 100 years from now, I think the business structure honestly looks different in that regard, but, just the idea that you're never, like, any profit you have is immediately to go put back in, you
Invest.
draw more debt to just keep repeating the process. That doesn't account for any sort of problem. If you have a problem, if you need a bailout and you're a 10 billion, 15 billion, 50 billion dollar company, that's so bad. And especially when executives are getting paid so high, and I'm as capitalist as they come. If you're a scarce resource, offer that much value to the company, I believe you should get paid that. But when you're laying off people and you're firing people and blah 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 blah, but your executive team's still walking away with 500 million between three dudes, that is disgusting. And you deserve no corporate money for that. And second part is, and Starbucks was just doing this too. And I don't know their situation entirely, so I can't speak if it's right or wrong. But a lot of these companies that they haven't asked for aid yet, but a lot of companies that are going through this right now, while they're laying off people or whatever, they're putting every dime they have in a stock buyback, and that's just as sick. You shouldn't be able to pull that crap either. And these airlines too. And somebody asked Trump today in the press conference, and he said, most likely, we're not going to let the airlines do stock buybacks. But if you gave them money, that would be their goal is stock buybacks if there's not regulation on it. And that's bull. That is
Just so they can double
BS.
up when it goes back up.
Just so they can, yeah, exactly. That is BS. That if you really need a bailout, it needs to go to the bottom line employees, keep them in their jobs. No money for the executives, no money to stock buybacks.
Yeah, I
That's just
so
disgusting. If you're laying off people, yeah, you're putting every dime you have into buying your stock. That is sick. That all the boards should get fired for that.
that's capitalism for you. Like I mean, like capitalism has its drawbacks, and that's one of them.
Well,
And
but
like,
I'm very anti-regulation on businesses, but that should be one. If you're in any situation where you're cutting employees from, budgetary issues, bankruptcy issues, yet you're buying your own stock, that should not be allowed at all. That stock should be confiscated.
well, I mean, what's a business's job though? Like, what's a corporation's purpose? To make money, you know? Like, if it helps with economic growth, cool. Well, I mean, that's the point, like to the government and to all of us. But I mean, if their best way to make money is to lay people off and buy stock back, why should they be restricted from doing that?
I mean, I would even go as far to say, I guess a company has to own a certain amount of stock to have rights, but it's almost there should be a certain amount that you can have and you can't have at the end of the day. Because you asked for other people's money when you went public. I mean, it's just a funding mechanism, and it is complicated, but and I get maybe if say it's not a bad economic time necessarily, where you just decide, hey, we want to shed the company a bit. We have too many employees that we don't need. Okay. And you want to
Hmm.
cut some people, and you're like, hey, we have some extra money now. You want to buy stock, whatever. That's fine. But if you're one of these companies that's deliberately causing a freak out, you have money in the bank, but you don't want to give it to your employees, and you're going to shut down stores and whatever and fire people because of it, even though they're profitable. I mean, that's just bad, and people should take note of that, and you shouldn't support those businesses if you can. That's just sick. That's the problem. That's when corporate America goes way too far. Especially the airlines. If you're getting any government money, you have no right to throw that into your stock buyback at
Yeah,
all.
that ain't gonna happen. They won't let them do that.
I really hope they won't. That's a large concern of mine. So
I
screw
don't
all the
think so.
airlines if that happens.
It's just more. There's more weeds to it than you
It's
think. Cause like
exactly
in
why I think about like an Apple model though, which yeah, they make a lot more money than everybody else, but they put a lot of their money aside, and they're well, I mean the majority of their supply chain's shut down. I don't think they're making phones. Um, but they have money to tank through this, and honestly, they have the money to go out and buy other companies right now, like big companies. But that's just how you roll. If you're super successful, even if it's a small percentage, if it's 2% of your profit a year that you're putting away, I mean, there should be that. And honestly, if we get to the point where there has to be regulation, where on your profits, if you're making money, you have to save X amount, even if it's a half a percentage. Um, Businesses should really reevaluate and have some sort of emergency fund. So
yeah,
I don't think there's any
I just
excuse not to.
it is interesting. Yeah, because they just leverage as much as they can for any
Yep.
sort of growth. But that's also what creates jobs too. Like when you're expanding, if they just sat on what they had, they'd be able to get leaner and not create jobs. So I think
Yeah,
there's
but the thing is, if you
drawbacks.
get lean, but it's a mix because if you get leaner and you're not, because I'm not saying you have to save everything. Maybe it's like a tiny percentage, like I'm talking about, but that has to be put away for, an emergency fund, or even if it's less than that, you have to be putting something away as an employee backup plan, something. Okay, but um, I mean, if you're getting leaner though and you're staying stagnant, then the market's gonna run around you anyways. So you know what I
But that
mean?
kind of sounds
It's
like
a
what you're
mix.
proposing.
Well, I'm not proposing to just do nothing, but if there's a rule applied to everybody, everybody has to deal with it first off. So it's not. I mean, it is a big complicated equation, but it's just I don't know. To an extent, businesses have a responsibility for their employees at the end of the day, especially in a time like this. If you're pulling scummy stuff, just
Probably
off.
it will just accelerate economic downturn. I think that's the best way to put it. If they start laying people off, but
It's just gross. I mean, it's just a it's just company heads trying to take advantage of a bad time, and
at least you see what happened in
so
'08 with like the Lehman Brothers and all that when they other companies they drove all their companies in the ground and they got to walk away scot free fine.
yeah, it's stupid. Which if you go back to '08, like Ford too, and I have a bias because if Ford would have truly gone out of business, I mean my dad practically wouldn't have had a job. Okay, so them getting bailed out saved us. So I do have a bias on this. But looking back at it, I mean, should Ford have gotten bailed out? No. Okay. One thing with recessions is the whole economic point of a recession is to sweep out the bad businesses and sweep out the indebted. Okay, it's a reset. So you can't bail people out. I realize this recession isn't necessarily a natural recession, even though we're due for one in the next five
Yeah,
years, anyways. I mean nobody would argue
everyone was
against that.
saying that for like the last
But
4 years.
the whole point is a recession tests who the strong and the weak are. If you're the weak, you deserve to go out of business. Period. So,
I
you
agree.
know, if that this is a little different because if everybody goes out of business, nobody has job. Like this is a little different, obviously, but um, I mean, to an extent, if you're a mega company and you have a weak balance, you know, a weak financials, weak balance sheet, whatever, you don't have cash on hand, you deserve to go out of business. You didn't prepare for it. That's your fault. So I don't feel bad for the businesses in that regard. I feel bad for the employees that get screwed. I don't feel bad for the upper management and the people calling the shots at all. So that's what's sad is what's who's going to be affected by this is the small businesses that are working their asses off, not the big companies, which is gross. It should be a balance of both of
Yeah.
who's going to close through this.
That basically what you just went off on is almost how I feel about like personals in this situation too, like people, like
Oh well, like I said, I do feel that way about personals, but in my opinion, if you're gonna bail out anybody, it should be your citizens, not your mega corporations with their board of directors walking out and profiting off the problem.
yeah, it's just such a big thing to wrap your head around because like you're feeding consumerism when you're just giving people money for nothing. Like I,
Yep.
it's the same thing with forgiving student loan debt, and that was something I wanted to bring up eventually on this. Like student loan debt should not be forgiven. I don't care. Like no one has a gun to their head. Like yes, we have been deceived by high schools and like whatever media and propaganda ended up making this happen be a thing like that. We don't need to go to college. Like college is a choice you can make to set yourself up in a certain way, and
Can I
there's lots of
can
other
I
good
say
ways.
one thing really,
Yes.
really fast? I'll let you keep going. As a side note, I think Nick agrees with this. Obviously, we think people should go to college if you're medical, things like that. Like some things aren't necessary to go get the proper training for, obviously. But there are certain fields, and I would argue business is one that you don't need to go to college for. Sorry, commence, Nick. Keep going.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, there's a few like I think technical skills you should go to college for. Like business, you're fine. Like doing like an associate's degree or something. Like business is BS. Like if you have common sense and can read online, like you can have a business degree. Like
Yeah.
just as much knowledge as a business degree. But like so. Yes, we put a lot of pressure onto 18-year-olds to make this decision, and we need to do a better job of educating them. And I think we're starting to get there, but it's still not great.
Yeah.
But if you take on student loan, like if you're okay, even if your parents like, oh, we went to the University of or we went to the University of Michigan. This is a legacy school. You should go there, son. It's 30 grand a year. Like
Yeah.
your parents are idiots and they set you up for failure. Like
True.
if you took on $120,000 in student debt and took your 5 years, partied in college, like wasted time, wasted money, failed classes, There's no reason you should have your student loans forgiven over
I
someone
agree.
like me who pushed myself to get done in 3 years, picked an affordable college. Like, no, screw you. Like, I'll be pissed if student loan debts get forgiven. I don't care if that's selfish. Like, there's
No, it's just
situations
fair.
that, yeah, like I know that people got screwed into making poor decisions, but they're the ones who made them, and like it's the same thing. It's almost like you'll bail out, and I know that there's so many more implications, but that's my reason because there's ways to make better decisions.
Well, a little bit of the problem is there's a societal thing around it, and a lot of kids, myself included, you don't realize what you're signing on to. You really don't. It doesn't hit you, especially if you're under somebody else's roof. It does not hit you what type of debt you're
Oh
taking on.
no,
Secondly, but here's an argument. Some guy I follow on Twitter, CJ Johnson. I'll have to link him sometime. Everybody should follow his Twitter. Um, what he has said before, or what he was talking about recently, and he's a very capitalist guy. No socialism, no forgiveness to anybody, you know. Um, but he was saying the other day, he's like, if you if you're really gonna bail out corporations, then what's the problem with forgiving student loan debt? Like
yeah,
the
I
thing
agree.
is the thing
That's
is,
the same concept.
well, it is the same concept, but at the same time, because you can make multiple arguments for it. You can make an argument from workers losing their jobs, right? But the thing is, if student loan debt really engrosses, how many millions is it? It's a lot of people that claim they're I'm 400,000 in debt or whatever, okay? Because they don't pay the interest on it and it just stockpiles. But if one big corporation of 60,000 employees goes out of business, everybody loses their jobs, okay? But what happens 10 years from now where this student loan crisis really keeps snowballing and you have 2 billion, or not 2 billion, sorry, 2 million kids that end up losing a lot of stuff, lose their livelihood over the money they have hanging over their heads. Like you can't argue with me that bailing out a business is necessarily a better option than bailing out your people. I think at the end of the day, you have to go with your people. I think that has the better benefit to everybody. But
But if you
um,
keep bailing out people, people are
well,
just
you
gonna keep being
shouldn't keep
stupid.
bailing out people. I mean, I'm not for bailing out in general, but if you're gonna pick one, it should not be corporations that have made poor decisions. Because I mean, and the people running corporations are the people that went to, have their doctorate from Michigan State or whatever. It's the top dogs making the shots, calling the shots, are educated people, and they deliberately know what they do a lot of the time. They don't deserve to be bailed out. If you're gonna do anybody, you bail out the people that are actually out there. Yeah, a lot of them maybe they were stupid, but a lot of them do have serious debt. Are hardworking people. There's plenty of doctors out there that have half a million hanging over their heads, and they're working 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, grinding, trying to make the world a better place through medicine. And so I
Yeah,
think at the end of the day, you bail out your people. It's not fail. And I think as a utilitarian point of view, I'm it's a greater benefit for the money you're spending to to bail out your people. So again, I'm not for the bailout of either. But if you're gonna pick one, I don't think it's fair to choose. Plus, when you bail out a corporation, it's not fair either because you're picking winners and losers. Why is it fair that, say, Ford was going under right now and Delta was going under right now? Why is it fair to pick Delta and you say Ford, you get nothing, go out of business? Like it's not. You're literally you're manipulating the market when you do that, and that's not capitalism at all.
yeah, that's a weird mixture. I wish I need to learn more about economics and how, like what would forgiving everyone's student loan debt do? Like, would that
Well, the
boost
thing is,
GDP?
well, okay. The problem is you still have people consumer focused. A lot of people, majority of people. That's still the problem. Some people would be responsible with it, yes. If we were really going to, obviously that would cost a lot more than bailing out one corporation. Forgiving student loan debt, 'cause isn't that like $1 trillion? People say, isn't it like $1 trillion thing right now or more?
I don't
I
even
always see
know.
Bernie's tweets about it. I couldn't say the exact number, but so obviously I'm not saying you forgive everybody's, but some sort of credit to everybody. Um, so I don't know. It's just would it even do much? You don't know. There would be people that would be responsible, and it'd make their life a lot better, and there would be people that they'd get out of that debt, and now their money, instead of paying their bill, would be going to another form of debt that they don't need. So
Right.
it'd
Yeah.
be a
It's all funding
balance.
because all the
But you could
student loan
argue the
debt is
same
just
with
funding banks
corporations. It would be the
anyway.
same exact thing.
Yeah. Exactly. It's
If this
just if they
happens
want
20
to
years from
fail.
now, an airline's still going to be constant reinvestment, a weird payment scheme that benefits the few, and I mean, they'll if this happens 20 years from now, airlines would still be asking the same exact thing for a bailout. So, because it's the easy way out, they don't have to do anything. They get their money and they can literally never lose just because they're an airline, which is BS. Because, like I
Yeah.
said, and the people are like, oh, if we don't have travel, then you won't be able to fly ever again. Somebody would buy them out. They're not going to go destroy all the planes. But you'd get bought out. It may take some time, but so I don't know. That's something I'm particularly passionate about because I just, in it, especially the picking winners and losers, because it's really not fair to see how many small businesses are going to end up going under because of this. How many, even somewhat big corporations, are going to be seriously damaged because of this, and that maybe they asked for aid, but the government just said no. We want to help the airlines this time around. Like that's not fair.
Yeah. That is weird because like airlines aren't gonna. Airlines are
Airline,
completely shut down. Like
yeah,
obviously, like so are cruise lines, but like nobody needs cruise
nobody
lines. Like
needs, yeah.
planes are actually important to structure, but so that's why I can see like I don't know. They're not going to go out of business though, so why? And if they are going to get go out of business, just let another bigger one absorb them. Like there's going to be less
Yeah.
competition, less not as good prices, but I mean that's just what's going to come with it.
Well, the
I'm just
thing is
looking.
too with an airline is all the infrastructure exists. It's not like that goes away. You just need somebody to come manage it properly and have the human capital to make it work, right? I mean,
Mhm.
obviously there's stuff that goes into piloting and flight patterns and systems like that to keep everything running. But you still have the airports, you still have the planes, you just need the people and the knowledgeable people to do it. So that's something that's kind of unique. Like if Tesla goes under tomorrow, I mean, is someone gonna? I mean, is someone gonna be able to operate all Tesla stuff and keep developing like they do and everything? No, I mean it's different. So
Just a risk you take when starting a business, I guess. That they should be held accountable for, just like I think you should be held accountable for a student loan. All right, let's keep it moving.
agreed, agreed. All right.
We're not going to get
Um,
all our talking points in, but
I guess yeah, we'll probably have to end on this one because this might take a few minutes. One thing we wanted to cover is because we talk a lot about being productive, being active, growing yourself, the robot mentality. Kind of just the routine while being at home, and I'll be the first to say because everything I do is closed. I intern 3 days a week. I only work like 15 to 18 hours in that range, and most it's usually more like 15 to 16. And so that's literally the only obligation I have right now. Everywhere I go, closed. The restaurants I even like I probably eat out maybe once a week on the weekend, not every weekend, and usually it's something cheap if I do. All that's gonna be closed. I mean, my yoga studio is closed. I go to I take 9 to 10 classes a week, so I'm there constantly. My gym is closed, which I just found another gym that's still open, so hopefully they stay open and keep true to their word that we can go in after hours because they're like a 24-hour. I mean, my church is closed. Like literally everywhere I go is closed, and I still have this. And my school is. I have this schoolwork online now, and my problem is when I have all this time, I am so much less productive. So much. Whether it be my sleep schedule, whether it be just the time it takes for me to get homework done. Because if I know, cause especially, I mean, you go back 2 weeks ago when the semester's still busy, I still have a really tight schedule. I have everything in my head segmented out, and I know I have to get this homework done in this hour window, or it's not going to get done. Like I have to do
hmm
it then. I have to do a good job. That drives me to be productive, to get things done, to one thing on to the next thing, on to the next thing, bouncing all around. Like I've been sitting in my room today. I'm gonna go to the gym after we're done recording, thank God. But I've been sitting in my room doing different things, and I mean, all day. A lot of it's been productive. Some of it hasn't been. But even when I'm doing it that's productive, it's been drawn out. I just really struggle with it. So I don't. You can give a take on that if you want. But
no, I totally agree. And I've talked when I've been at work before. Like, if I'm having a busy day at work, I get like if I have a lot to do at work, I get everything done and I'm very productive. but it's when I have slow days at work that I realize, oh well, I can just do that later, and then I'll just like do nothing because like there's no pressure, there's no reason to do it. And like same thing working from home today. I I did work. I mean I was productive, but then like 3 o'clock hits, it's like all right, there's nothing to do. I'm tired because I got up at 6 a.m. to work out. Like normally I'd still be at work for another hour and a half. I'm like screw it, I'll just take an hour nap. And now my now it's gonna be harder to fall asleep tonight,
Yeah.
and then I'll be more tired tomorrow, and it's just all a snowball. As soon
Still
as
hashtag no naps. No naps. We'll save that for
I'm
another podcast, but
I'm with you, like I haven't been, but like
it's
what am I?
hard not to. When you're home all day, it is hard not to. And I'm totally
Yeah,
with you. That's why when I first got on this kick last year, like I'd literally try to set myself up to where I need to be outside somewhere so I'm not falling asleep. Because if I'm at home all day, I will fall asleep.
same. And like I've been doing like my routines. Like I told you about like that like habit journal I have just to make sure I do everything and like takes notes for why you fail and stuff. And like I was realizing when I started it, I was taking too many naps, and I figured out a big reason why was because so one of my things on there is to read a chapter a day. And I'd get home from work and I'd start reading a chapter, and then instantly like it's like 4:30, I'm just dead tired. Like so
Yeah.
then I made a note like don't read from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. and
Yeah.
you won't take and it helped. But like I think there's like certain traps that are gonna fall. And like today is the last day my gym is open, so tomorrow starting I don't know. I guess I'm gonna run outside, do some prison workouts with a deck of cards, calisthenics. I don't know, but it's gonna be tough. But like with how good of routines that you and I are both on, like
It's killing me. Like
we
I
can't
I
afford.
literally will my psyche a week into this, I would literally be feeling like very anxious and honestly pretty sad just because like I don't know, it's just naturally happens. Like I can't
Well,
sit around.
and I'm an introvert, so I can't even imagine for. Would you say you're an extrovert?
No, I'm very introverted.
You're introvert as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's weird. We are yeah, we love our routines. I think that's what it is. And
Yeah.
like
I've
I'm
told you
gonna
that
miss out on
before. I'm
that.
just a man of habit. I like doing X at X time every day, like same time every week. Like
Yeah,
so
like
it's
I
just
have the
weird.
option to work remote. I'm going into the office tomorrow because I like that break up throughout the day. And how I'm gonna stay consistent on this, it's gonna be tough. I This weekend I have my dad coming into town. We're just gonna hang out. So maybe I might just not lift Saturday and Sunday, kind of give my body a break because I have been working pretty hard. And
Yeah.
just maybe because I when you take like a few day break, like you can come back like really energized and like feeling fresh.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take advantage of this a little bit doing that, and then probably get a. Hopefully, there's a gym that's still open, the one that you're
Yeah,
going
you'll
to,
have to
that we
come
can
to
work
this
out
one.
for
It
a
should
week.
be. Yeah. It's gonna
And
be
then
longer than that, buddy, but yeah.
yeah, my gym's aiming to open back up April 1st, but it's like,
That's what
we'll
ours
see.
said too, but there's no way this it unless we have a full quarantine and just get the first wave over with, it's prolonging everything. Like, people were talking about it, some head economists, some hedge fund managers are telling Trump, like just literally just shut it down. If not, we're gonna be doing this for 2 months where everything gradually closes, tries to reopen, closes again. It's just gonna be stupid. Which we
Yeah,
might not even need to get into that right now. I didn't mean to change topics, but it just scares
yeah.
it. That scares me. If I am out of what I love to do for a month or more, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna punch a hole in my wall like multiple times.
Yeah, I mean I can see it. This is gonna be a really tough time for. It's gonna be a testing time for people. But like
This is
I
going to be a
saw,
testing time for mental health. That's been the conversation for how long? This is really going to be the testing time. And I hate to say it, dude, but one, in the recession, you see crime rate spikes. That's a given. That's always happened anywhere around the world, pretty much. So obviously, you'll probably see minor crime rate spikes. But two, I mean, I don't mean to sound morbid when I say it, but I guarantee there's at least a slight increase in suicide for the people that need that social interaction and things like that. I mean,
yeah, I
especially
don't
if you live
know.
alone and we're house quarantined or things like that, man.
I
Like,
know. Yeah, that's what I'm
I hate
saying.
to say it, and it sounds morbid, but it's scary that that could happen.
I saw a tweet before we got on. It
Did you
said,
re-download Twitter, or were you just doing that to find?
no, just to find. I was on
Oh, gotcha.
my browser. It said there will be two outcomes for adults in this conversation, or in this shutdown. One, you'll become a great home cook, and two, you'll be a raging alcoholic. There's no in between. But I literally feel like that's kind of like, I mean, obviously it's extreme, but you can use this time to be productive. And like I think reading books is going to be really good for me. I'm going to read a bunch. I'm gonna work on developing skills. Me and you have been doing options
Yeah, I got
trading that
some
we never talked
plans,
about,
but
but just stuff like that. Because when you're on a good routine and then you stop, it's ten
nah,
times harder to
it's
get
gonna be
back on
hard to
it.
get back
So
in. And the thing is, though, I have some things planned I want to do, whether it's learning or just things I need to get done. But I'm not the, like one thing that breaks up my day is how much I do yoga and how much I'm at the gym. 'Cause I can't just be in full like learn mode or go mode. Like I can't do that, and it makes me less productive. Like I'm not the type of person that could sit and write a paper in 5 hours or something like that. If it's a big, like I have to split it up. I have to be doing other things, be productive for 2 hours, go do something else, come back, be productive again. Like, so it's gonna be tough for me. I have things in mind, but I can't sit and try to learn all day. Like it just won't work for me. I'll jam my mind so much that I'm just wasting my time.
I was
If
joking with
that
my
makes
friend.
sense.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I need to break things up, and I like to do different things. This is gonna sound dumb, but I think there's like a crazy thing that I think has adversely affected my productivity in like the last month or two. It's my chair that I sit in when I'm on my computer. I used to have a gaming chair and I sold it when I stopped gaming just to get it out so I wouldn't want to game. But like now I have this like
So I wouldn't want to
chair that's
game.
too. I have this chair
You
that's
gotta
too
have a
short for my
comfortable
desk,
chair. Yeah.
and it's just garbage. And I'm just slouching and lazy the whole
You
time
need
I'm
to
sitting
just
on my
go find
computer.
a nice just office chair.
No,
You
I
gotta
have one
have.
back home. I
Oh,
got my
you.
dad bringing it.
Oh, he is. Okay, you gotta have a comfortable chair, or yeah, that kills it immediately.
Yeah, it's like I actually feel like my productivity is suffering from it. That's really
Yeah,
weird. But like I almost feel like getting a skateboard or something and like trying to learn how to
that'd
do
be kind
like
of fun.
a kickflip or
There was
something.
a. I went through a time, probably when I was like 18, where I got just really into like watching skating and stuff, and I was like,
Hmm.
I actually went to a skate shop to go look at decks and stuff. I'm like, I'd really want to get into that, but I also don't want to hurt myself, and that's. And I'm very coordinated balance wise, but it's just probably not something. I
I
mean,
think skate.
you gotta be if you want to do it and do it well, you're gonna have a lot of falls. You're gonna potentially break stuff. I was just like, I don't know if I want to go through
I
that.
just want to learn how to do like. I mean,
A
I
kickflip,
feel like yeah, just like a kickflip, like a good ollie, like
yeah,
shove it, stuff like that.
shove
Just like
it's
something just
wear some
to get
Thrasher,
out
maybe some Plan B, good stuff.
huff. Just to get outside and like because I'm not gonna be wanting to go for runs and walks, but like I have a longboard, but like that's a good way. I've had
That's a good way to
some
get
bad
killed.
wipeouts on a longboard,
Yeah,
but they're a lot of
yeah,
fun.
it'd be fun for sure.
Well,
Um,
let's go get skateboards before all the shops
Maybe.
close down.
I just like the look of skateboards too. There's some decks that are just dope, man. That just look really nice. Just I'd put it on my
Yeah,
wall and just stare at it.
I know
Might
there
need
are
to
some
use
cool
it.
ones. Maybe I might actually do that if I get that stimulus check popping through. I might take a 150
Exactly.
of it
Hey,
and
if
buy
you're
a deck and
playing,
some
if you
trucks.
play 500 of that on options, you could triple that with the right moves really fast, and then the rest is just spending money. That other 500.
I want to do a long term call on the airline industry. That's my thing, but let's not get into that now.
Yeah,
Um,
okay, before we get off that though, you should be playing options right now. Don't be one of those people. It's like I have 200 bucks. I'm just going to try to buy stocks low and immediately sell them. Like that 200 bucks goes so much farther with options. Just take the time to try to learn options a little bit.
you can lose 200 a lot faster
You can
too.
lose it fast too, but if the thing is if you have say you're trying to buy you have $200, you're trying to buy Delta right now, okay? And you're like I'm going to flip it right when it goes up, okay? So yeah, I mean, maybe your gain if you're doing this within a month, right? I mean, maybe your gain per share is 20 bucks. Maybe you double your money on that 200. That's theoretical, okay? I mean, you could in the short term with that $200 play Delta. Like you could I don't know if you could call Delta for 200. It's probably like 3 or 4. But you could
What's
put a
Delta
little more
trading at?
capital in. I think they're in the 20s. I could be
Let me
wrong.
pull it
Let's
up.
pull it up.
Yeah, it's at $21. So if you put
Yeah.
a 30 call on Delta for like
You could
August,
literally use a little bit more money than that 200. And if you think it's going up, so nothing's changing, you're still betting on it's going up. Your investment thesis hasn't changed at all because you believe in it, which it will go back up over the long run. You could literally turn that $200-300, whatever it takes to get a call, you could like triple that so fast, and then you sell that contract, then you buy right back in if you still think it's going up, and do the same thing. So it's just not efficient. Like you get so much leverage on your limited amount of capital when you do this. So that's why I hope I hit that $1,000 check, and literally I'll probably spend like 150 of it, and the rest is all going into options. I'm gonna have a mix of some long terms, and then I'm also gonna play like a premium, like I don't know what I'll do yet, but a premium stock. I'll play a expensive option on it. So
I just haven't decided my thesis on it yet. This is not investment advice. This is merely conversation. I think we have to do that
please speak with
disclaimer.
your financial advisor before playing
FINRA, we are not
options.
registered with the FINRA.
Yeah.
We have no fiduciary responsibility to you.
Yep. Yep.
And I am not as bullish on options as Ben is
I
for
am very
beginner
bullish on
because,
options. I fully believe in them.
yeah, you
Fully.
can fully lose a lot of money too, but I
You
love
can
doing it.
fully
It's a
lose
lot
a
of
lot of
fun.
money, but it's I like people because I see people tease it. Well, one they say it's gambling, and I would argue
It
it's not.
is.
I would argue it's not gambling at all if you do the proper research because it's no different than you investing in something, say in the short term or near short term that you think is going to go up. It's still the same
Yeah.
thesis. You're not going to buy into something you think's not going to go up. It's all on thesis. And two, I mean, it's calculated because it's not random. You don't just throw money at it and you either win or lose. It's not black and white. So I don't agree. I mean, is it like the I'm pumped with Adderall type of yeah, I like stocks type of thing? Yeah, but which I'm not pumped with Adderall. That's just the sphere that people say. Reddit subreddit Wall Street Bets for you, name drop. But um, I don't know. I think it's a lot more calculated, and I think it's legitimate. I don't think there's any shame in it. If you end up a high tier options trader, I don't think there's any shame in it at all.
I don't think there's any shame in it. I think it's very cool. Yeah, it's just like
I think if you're gonna trade options, you should definitely on your successes have an investment theory too of buy and holds.
yeah, it's
So
not
if you're
investing.
making money, you should be investing with part of that money, and the rest you can play options with, rinse and repeat. But
Crazy stuff. All
yeah,
right, we
probably
gonna
hit the
show.
Twitter real quick.
Yeah, if
We
you
are
want. Otherwise, if you gotta go, we're
we're
good.
4 minutes off of an hour, so we're gonna try to keep it just an hour tonight because I do have to get going. So I'll start with one, and then you can hit me with what you got, and then we'll go back and forth. Out of curiosity, last week did we watch a little video about Joe Biden, like a little clip? We might have.
Um, I
Actually,
don't
I,
think
I
so.
think we might have. I'll show this first because I think I already showed it to you. I apologize if we already seen this, people. Just so everybody knows, did we watch this?
Oh yeah.
Okay, we did watch that. It is funny though. Okay, so I'm not gonna show that one. I have another one. I have two other ones. I wanted to watch. Well, we'll talk about this really quick. This comment from somebody first because a little shorter. So pull this up on your screen. I'll pull it up on mine as well.
Yep. Fuki.
I want to know your take on this. I just thought this was funny because this was referring to the quarantines, right? Potential mandatory
Yeah.
quarantines. So I like this Conor McGregor quote. I think it's different when you have private facilities to do what you still want to do because he was
Yeah, like
training,
he's able to
obviously.
work out
Yeah,
and eat what he
yeah.
wants and all that.
So um, it's interesting though. I think there can be a power in even just in general in your life, you want to make improvements, like just isolating yourself from everybody for 3, 4 months, just coming out stronger. I'm not saying that works for everybody, but it's definitely worked for some people. If that's what it takes to get you over your hump, then
That's a lot of people have done that. Like I did that to an extent starting in like November when I just kind of like kept more to myself and worked things out like isolation, visualization, motivation, dedication, no outsiders. Like yeah, that's funny because that's what the quarantine is. But like
yeah,
if you can focus on yourself within it, like and that's
this could
kind
be a
of
good
the
time to
the
get
gear
stuff
I'm going
done,
toward.
man.
That's the way I'm looking at it, like getting
Yeah,
stuff started with the brand and
it disappoints
trading.
me, but yeah. I mean, yeah, I
I
have time for options, which is nice, but
I don't have as like low of an outlook on it as you do,
just
but I do know it's gonna get old and it's gonna be a bummer. But I think I like being alone. I feel most myself when I'm alone. That's like an introvert
yeah.
thing, so I think I totally can resonate with that
Yeah, it's
from the
cool. I think that's
fuking.
how people need to look at it too. If you're gonna have this quarantine time, use to better yourself. If you have a home project to get done, get it done. Something you can do at your house. If you have, if you have a basement full of stuff, Sort it out, sell what you don't need. I mean, it's time to get stuff done. The metaphor Jordan Peterson used, which I'll have to send you some of his stuff eventually, but it's always the clean your room mentality, right?
Yeah,
So you need to
I
have
know
your
all
room in
about Jordan
order
Peterson.
before you're interacting with the outside world. You need to get your stuff together, get your
Hmm.
crap together. So it's definitely a good time for people to reset. I think it's scary because a lot of people are going to be very sedentary during this, especially how long it extends. It's kind of an excuse to just be lazy and do nothing. So I think that's bad. But be Conor McGregor through this. Get stuff done. Try your best. Even if you're not as productive when you have a life, in this situation, still try to be productive to whatever extent your brain can handle when you're at home all day. So, all right, you got yours.
This has like no relation to anything.
That's fine. That's what it's supposed to be. We're reacting.
Okay, I hope you've seen. So like, hit this tweet and then just go to like the account. Have you seen these girls and this girl on Twitter? I see like all these like
Oh, is this the
dudes in my
Oregon
feed.
State basketball?
This is the
Oh,
Oregon softball player. Her name's Haley Cruz. Well, that's the one I sent you. But like they just make TikToks and they're like, I don't know if you have all the people on your feed like liking their stuff, but they always
no.
pop across my crap, and it's the cringiest stuff. I don't hate TikTok. I don't want to watch it. But like this girl Haley Cruz has like 100,000 followers, and like all these like baseball dudes I know and follow her, they're just
They're
like,
simping
oh, I
over
wish
her,
she'd
dog.
yeah, they simp so hard. They're like, oh, I want you to like marry. Like she'll tweet something, and it'll all just be like, I wish she'd marry me, like have my
She's
children.
she's definitely attractive, but yeah, they're simping hard.
I don't know. I don't simping. That's just something I'm not capable of doing with something
I'm
like
not
that.
either. Yeah, I would never be the dude to sit and comment on something or watch some chick stuff ever.
I mean, she's hot. I've scrolled through her thing to see what it is, but just like the whole like thought of TikTok and being famous on TikTok for like
Is
doing
bad.
these, just for being hot, really. Like a good-looking person can make it so much easier, and that's just a whole extra topic you talk a whole podcast on of like the inequality of like good-looking people
Oh
versus
yeah,
ugly people.
yeah.
That would actually be a fun topic, but
We can talk about that.
I don't know. Like, but yeah, TikTok and just popularity, I guess, and like fame in general is so
And on the
whack.
bright
But
side, they have all the more time to play TikTok now. Their season careers are canceled, so
literally, their
yeah.
careers are. They were seniors.
Without getting into it, we'll have to talk about this next time. I think TikTok, one, it's a Chinese think tank. It totally is. Totally is. Okay, it's already been. There's so much information on data they steal and different. They're trying to track youth, which is gross. Like it goes far and beyond what you see the typical data tracking and things like that. So, and two, it's just designed to make you sedentary, dopamine hit, and get you glued to just scrolling through TikTok. And you're like, oh heck, it's been 2 hours. I've been sitting and watching TikTok the whole time. Like, it's not good.
Two
Get off
hours.
TikTok.
My little sister turned 13 in the fall. I got on her screen time. She had just gotten an iPhone like a week prior, and it was a Saturday. Like she's busy. Like she does a lot, but like she plays sports and does piano and all that stuff. I checked her phone on a Saturday or a Sunday to check Saturday's screen time before that. She got up at like 11 or 12 at like noon. She got up at about noon and went to bed at like 1. She had 11 hours of screen time and 8.5 hours on TikTok.
Yeah, that's crazy.
13-year-old, like they're just insane.
Yeah.
It's so addicting.
No TikTok. That's the first thing. I think that is some of it is funny. Like even the dumbest stuff though. Somebody was showing me the other day, one of my friends, um, because my friends meme me about liking the Killers. But there's this trend on TikTok where people literally just record a random item doing something, and they just play Mr. Brightside over it. And I was laughing so hard, it was funny. Like some dude had this egg yolk in a bowl full of like flour, and he was just
Oh, you
rotating
cut
the
it out
bowl
here.
so the yolk went around the rim. And Mr. Brightside was playing. I was dying. I don't know why it was funny, but it just happens.
Yeah, I people don't even go on there for like I mean they say they go on there for funny stuff, but they go on there to waste time. So whenever people ask me why I don't have it, I was like, I don't need another thing to waste time on. Like
Yeah, it
if you,
sucks you in really fast. So if you could stay
if you
away
want to
from
send
it.
me one, I'll watch it and I'll probably laugh at it, but there's no way I'm gonna go sit on there and comb through that crap for
Yeah,
totally useless to society crap.
yeah. We'll have to
Um,
have a deeper conversation on that next time.
yeah,
But
for sure.
okay, my last thing. This is like a minute video, and then I'm gonna have to dip right after this, so we can have a really quick discussion. But just to preface this, a lot of people know like the whole Simpsons conspiracy that the writers have traveled in time and everything. I don't know when this clip was from. It's not like a recent thing. This before this pandemic started. It came out before the pandemic started.
I
This
don't
this
play.
video is pretty spot on with what I think the conspiracy really is, and kind of the social media craze, how much the narrative controlled by the media. So it's worth the
Conclave of
watch if you
America's
want to bring it
media
up.
empires.
Should
We're
I
here to
start it?
come up with the
So
next.
I'm at here. I'll restart mine. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Yep.
It's kind of looking ugly. I apologize, and mine froze. Give me 1 second. You can go ahead and watch it. I've seen it. I do want to show it to the stream though. Why is this simping right now?
I'd like to call to order this secret conclave of
so
America's media empires. We're here to come up with the next phony baloney crisis to put Americans back where they
Public
belong.
health
in
scare.
dark rooms, glued to their televisions,
The
too
Bravo
terrified
and
to skip the
logo,
commercial.
dude. That's so funny.
Well, I think
NBC,
I know, that's what I was
you are
laughing
here
at.
to listen and not speak. I think we should go with a good old-fashioned public health scare.
A new disease. No one's immune. It's like the summer of the shark, except instead of a shark, it's an epidemic. And instead of summer, it's all the time.
Now, I hate to be the guy who
Sorry for the
derails
resolution,
what everybody
folks.
else loves.
He loves being that guy.
But, Janice, we do have standards. This can't be a made-up disease. The only moral thing to do is release a deadly virus into the general public.
We do have something we've
You
been
done?
holding on to, but it hasn't been
Almost.
tested. Get over here, NBC.
Well, we certainly believe in testing, but
Rip NBC. I'm guessing that's supposed to be Lester Holt, but white or something. Is he NBC? He is, right?
I don't even know.
I love that though. And the writers truly have traveled in time. It's very true.
It's crazy. I wonder if any sort of that happens to any capacity.
Well, you got to think people that have stakes in big wealthy people that have stakes in media companies. I'd say a lot of the initial sell-offs were driven by the media for sure.
It was all fun and games
You just
for a
gotta
little bit.
think if you have money and you can create some sort of fake sell-off. I mean, you profit very quickly off that when you have a lot of capital to inject into the market. And if you were able to look at the accounts of all these very, very rich people, I guarantee you they've been buying aggressively at a lot of the price tiers that we've hit. So,
Yeah, I'm sure they have too, but they're
um,
probably losing on it now.
well,
and
yeah,
probably
but
go down quite a bit
long run
more.
mentality for them. They're not concerned about.
Yeah, they just care about
Yeah.
their state, really.
So I think there's some truth to that video. I'm not saying it's really a round table like that, but I think there are a good amount of people that deliberately want to create a scare.
Mhm.
So, all right. Well, with that, we do have to kind of cut it short here and get it done. I'm running over time. So, any final thoughts?
Stay safe.
Stay
Self
safe.
quarantine. Be productive with your time off.
Social
That's what I'm going to
distance.
be doing.
Don't blow your 1K. Don't
Read
simp
books.
over the Oregon female softball team.
Learn a new skill. Get a
Yeah.
skateboard.
So with that, this has been week 4, and we're signing out. Go ahead and say it, Nick. Go ahead and say it. Go ahead and say it. Say it. Say it. It's cringy, but go ahead and say it. Go ahead and say it.
Goodbye, robots.
Let's go. Bye,
Let's
everybody.
go.